Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Our honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, this is Job 27. It says, "This is the portion of the wicked man with God and the heritage of oppressors." Right? The heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. All right. Now you got these devils. They want to basically scapegoat the plantation owners and make it appear as if everybody outside of the actual men who owned the property, they are absolved of the terrors of slavery. If you in particular didn't own a slave to your name, then you was all right, which is bullshit, because they all played a part in the terror of slavery. They were all part of the system of slavery and oppression. All right, they all terrorized Jake. Jake was in terror of all so-called white people. All right, because you look at them the wrong way, or they perceive you even looked at them the wrong way or said the wrong thing. It didn't matter whether they owned you or not. That would lead to what? Punishment. All right. And they enjoyed that power. And they want to go back to that. All right. Job 27 and 13 is this is the portion of the wicked man and the heritage. So let's deal with the heritage. What does it mean to be a heritage? Possession, property, inheritance, right? Something you pass on to your children. So they have to own it. See, they don't want to own it. They don't want to own the guilt and the judgment that's going to come with the terrorization, the oppression of the children of Israel. They don't want to own it. They don't want it to belong to them. But is it does. You Edomites, man, that's been passed on to you. That's your heritage. Right? It said the heritage of oppressor. So let's look up the word oppressor. All right. What's an oppressor? It's not just someone that owns you as a slave on a contract. Oppressor, it says terrible, terrible one, oppressor, mighty, power, right? Under the system of so-called white supremacy, just being so-called white gave you power over the so-called black man, Hispanic man, and Native American Indian. And that's where their pride comes from. Even the low-level Edomite had power over us, had status and power over us. All right? The strong, the violent, powerful, of tyrannical, mighty, oppressor, in great power, strong, terrible. All right? It says awe-inspiring. Right? Jake was in awe, not just of the slave master, but of all so-called white people, because it was made clear to them that all so-called white people are over them. Right? Terror striking. Jake was in terror of Edomites, man, because they knew that at any moment, for any transgression, they could be violated. And it didn't matter if it was their master or not. All right, terror striking, awesome. And this is before and after hardcore slavery. All right, terrifying, ruthless, mighty. All right, that wasn't just the slave owners, man. That was the entire system. That was all Edomites, man. They terrorized Jake. All right. Jake had a great fear of the so-called white man and the power they had over them. right? I got some accounts here from ChatGPT, right? Frederick Douglass escapes enslaved man, a Bob abolitionist, all right? He said that he could whip me or kill me without the fear of consequences. The slaveholder, in the presence of the slave, may be said to stand in this place of the deity. All right. Harriet Jacobs, enslaved woman, wrote in Incidents in the Life of the Slave Girl, there is no shadow of law to protect the enslaved woman from insult, from violence, or even from death. All these are inflicted by fiends who bear the shape of men. All right, her words highlight how vulnerable black women were and how fear shaped everyday life. Right, our people lived in fear. All right, an anonymous enslaved person, Works Progress Administration, Slave Narratives, 1930s interviews of people who had been. This is 1930s. Had been enslaved. One man recalled his childhood fear of overseers. We was scared all the time. Scared of the overseers, scared of the patrollers, scared of the dogs. A colored child never felt safe, not even in his mummy's arms. All right. Eda B. Wells says, after the Civil War, the fear shifted but didn't disappear. Wells wrote about lynchings in the South. It was never safe for a Negro to be accused of insulting a white person. No matter how false the charge, it was almost certain to end in death. Now these weren't slave owners. These was almost everyday Edomites. Because under the system of white supremacy, right, they were over us. So you had to be careful out there. It says her words captured how deeply ingrained fear remained in black communities long after slavery ended. Yeah, that's the way of an oppressor, to terrorize. All right, that's one of the reasons why the KKK would do what they do, and other groups, to terrorize, to keep that fear, that oppression on Jake. All right, all right. So I said, would it be fair to say that so-called black people lived in fear of white people, even those who were not slave owners? Because their thing is, oh, it's the slave owners. No, it wasn't just the slave owners. Yes, that would be fair with an important nuance. Black people in the 1800s America lived under a racial order that gave almost every white person some degree of power over them, whether or not that person owned slaves. This meant that even ordinary white people, shopkeepers, neighbors, police, strangers, could be a source of danger. They were a part of the oppression. They were oppressors. They were terrifying. They had power and might over us. Why? Legal and social authority, laws and customs overwhelmingly sided with whites. A black person could be arrested, beaten, or even killed based on the word of a white person with little chance of justice. Right? So that's fearful. Like, that brings you in fear because it's this person could just say one thing or the other and your life was in the balance. It says enforcement of racial hierarchy. Even poor or non-slaveholding whites sometimes upheld racial control through mob violence, patrols, or intimidation. After slavery, in the Jim Crow era, any perceived disrespect, not moving off the sidewalk nor addressing someone as sir or mom, could trigger violence from an average white person. So these men are trying to hold on. Oh, only 1.5% of white people own slaves. How about you go suck it? You know, Let me not go there because it's disingenuous, man. All right, and it's gonna try and run the whole thing. Some white people, doesn't matter about the some white people. The point is that they were scared. You don't know who anyone is, so they all were part of a system that made you fearful, and they enjoyed that. All right, so it wasn't just the 1.5%. This is insane, and this is their way of trying to scapegoat the few to make it look like, as a whole, these Edomites are really good people and they're all right and they're not the villains. No, you 100% are the villains, and the proof of that is We read here how the heritage is that if his children be multiplied, it is for the sword. These people today are the children, and they have multiplied. You know, one turns into two, two turns into four, four turns into eight. You got millions of these people. This is who they descend from, oppressors. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his children shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He buildeth his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He openeth his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carrieth him away, and he departeth, and as a storm hurleth him out of his place. For God shall cast upon him and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. Right? And this is why you Edomites, and I could prove that all you Edomites are guilty. Because if you weren't guilty, then this wouldn't happen. Right? All of you Edom, I don't want to hear, oh yeah, but there was some bullshit. Listen, you're all guilty. They're all guilty, every single last one of them. Because we're the children of the Most High, and our position should be in the preeminence. We're princes and powers over you Edomites. All right? Anything less than that, and you have violated. You don't seem to understand. So, how can I prove that all you Edomites are guilty? Well, what's the judgment of the Lord? This is Obadiah 1 and 18. It says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. So if you weren't all guilty, you wouldn't all be getting exterminated here. The Lord has brought judgment on the entire nation because you're all guilty. There's no Edomite that is not guilty. They're all guilty, every single last one of them, man. And they shall be punished for their oppression. And not only that, there are many violations against the Heavenly Father. So anyone out there that's trying to run this program, that there's some kind of mercy or some kind of grace that could be extended to these Edomites, you're out of your damn mind. Oh, we're only 1.5%. What? Bro, 100%. It just said there shall be none remaining. So I don't know what you're talking about. It ain't about the individual slave owner. It's deeper than that. It's more nuanced than that. Right? It was a whole system, man. I think it was just 1.5%. And this is what they're going to try and do. Oh, it's not us. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. No, they're the heads. But you still part of it too. Let's not play these games. See, Edomites is going to try scapegoat, try to save themselves. No. No different to if an Egyptian was, oh, it wasn't me, it was Pharaoh. Listen, you're all guilty. And you're all going down in it. That's the bottom line. So, read them and weep. Shalom.